Step right up, it's time to hear the cleverest show of the year. AI catch up, brighter tone every week in your living room.
Hey everyone,
Hey guys.
catch up. Talking note takers today. I don't know about you guys, but every time I jump on a Zoom call, I see about 5 note takers every time I'm on. So this would be a good topic.
Totally, and I feel like so many people have attached them to their calendars and can't get rid of them. So I've noticed that also.
Right, many a time, some conversation that probably shouldn't have been in notes shows up in notes.
Right, that's true though. It is kind of like you just kind of ignore them now. And I know we'll be speaking about like the Zoom AI note taker, which is kind of up there. I don't think people realize it. And then, oh, what did I say? Anyway.
I think they're great. I've used them extensively. I think one of the best things that I found is using the live transcript to see what's being said and then copy it, paste it into what you're doing. Have you guys ever done that?
Mm-mm. I've done it a few times. I've also like pasted it into like ChatGPT and said, hey, what are my tasks that I need? But a lot of the note takers are doing that now. So like giving you your tasks that come from the meeting.
Well, as a professional writer, I find that live conversations are when you get the best quotes out of people, when you let the other person know who you're talking with, or even yourself, that you're being recorded and they can click on the screen and see it themselves and feel comfortable with it. I find that people relax and have a much more natural way of speaking, and then you can just block quote it and then add it to whatever you're doing, whether that's web copy or promotional material or a book, whatever you're looking to express as a message. Usually the best information comes out just when you're in conversation.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Getting quotes like that. I need to start doing that because that's a really good point.
So I think the point of catching people up today on the AI catch-up on AI note takers, one is just to say how common they are and how easy they are to get. So Brooks, you were using the Zoom one, which I think is included in the Zoom software.
Yeah, right? The AI companion is what they call it.
The AI companion. I use Otter and Fireflies. Michael, what do you use?
I use Read AI.
I like Read. And David, you've used a few different ones. What are you using lately?
Well, no, Read. I pretty much have just used Read. It's great. It allows me, and I think the great thing about the note takers, it just allows you to be with the person on the call. You don't have to worry about writing notes. Everything's there. You can grab it. I certainly, the Zoom one is I think both, everybody has talked about is there too as a backup. It's almost like now we have to have multiple backups and things. For sale, like with the paid version of Read, you can see, and I have my salespeople use it for how long are they talking versus the customer? Are they using words? Are they interrupting people, right? There's like a whole thing you can see if you're interrupting. So some of those features, I think just from I like it just for training myself. Did I talk too much? It is fast. It times the how fast you're talking, and I can show a couple of examples if you want. One with AJ, who I'm speaking with at the AI4 conference on Monday. We have a very tight relationship, and we both talk fast. Then when I was speaking to one of our people from Hong Kong, English was her second language, we're talking 25 miles an hour with AJ, I think 68 would be. That's funny. I think there might be some background. Yeah, you got it. Anyway, what have you, Brooks? How long have you been using it? Have you been incorporating it in different workflows? Oh wait, you're muted. I don't hear you.
Sorry. In particular with the Zoom one, I like how it just all the notes show up in the Zoom app, but then a really great email comes out with what action items were during the meeting, any good quotes that happened in the meeting. and I really like being able to summarize that. But I like just that it's in Zoom because that's generally where I spend most of my time in meetings. And if I'm like, oh, I need to, where did that note end up? I'm not searching through emails. I'm just searching through the Zoom app to see those. The other one that's interesting is one called Fathom, but that one shows up as like a box in your Zoom meeting because it's actually recording and you can see some, the people that are there, like the video part of it. I think that's the only one that I've seen so far that does the video part of the meetings when you go back and look at the notes.
No,
Read AI has it too, and they actually do they score your engagement, your interaction. They tell you like whether or not there was like connection between the two folks on Zoom. So it's interesting. We should probably take a look at that in Read AI's platform, because they have a full summary, then they have the transcript, and they have the video analysis and the scoring throughout the entire video, which is kind of interesting. So
yes,
can one of you guys screen share? Because I don't have memberships to all of it. Can we see that?
Let me share my screen.
So Brooks, regarding Zoom, I had the AI companion and then the cloud recording of the Zooms. And then if you go over your amount, like let's say it records like 10 gigs worth of meetings, then Zoom pesters you like crazy in the platform to upgrade. And that's one thing that I'm not a big fan of, but it does.
The thing that I liked the most about it was that, if you jump into a meeting late, you can say, catch me up, in like the AI companion chat, but then also you can see if your name's been mentioned, if you were gone, and see where things are. And I think Read might do that also.
Right. Are you able to see my screen, fellas?
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, good. Okay, so just here, I put, this was kind of our prep for the conference next week. So I'm comfortable using this as just to show you the thoroughness, right? So we do get the video of the conversation here. Another cool thing I like too is I can click, right? If I click here, it'll go to that part of the video. Or if I click here, it'll go to this part, right? So you can kind of click around the video. So that just gives you an overall summary on the first page. You can also download, like a lot of times I'll have things in my workflow on ChatGPT or Claude in different projects. So sometimes I just download the transcript and then put it in there and say, okay, pull everything within that project. You can go whole transcript here, right? So that just kind of gives you everything. And then again, clicking around to different parts of the video. A deep dive. I think this is interesting. Participant score. Maybe did one person talk more than others? Engagement. This is just kind of rating systems. Sentiment, bias. I don't know, Michael, how thoroughly you use this.
I don't get into all the details. I just look at the summary scores at the top to kind of like for quick reference. But if you were trying to assess somebody's body language at a key moment in time and then see what was going on with it, that would be an interesting use case, right? You would be like, well, here's this very important thing regarding this one project, and then I want to see what the AI thinks about how that person responded or presented or whatever. So
totally. I mean, another thing I love here, right, is, which I probably just did it several times leading up to that, the filler words I've been using. Right. I just said right again. Yeah, So I think these are good things just to put in our head to shift. Non-inclusive terms. Shit, you guys. Interruptions, 0 interruptions. We both let each other talk. Biases.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
Right. So it kind of gets down to,
So if you want to get fully judged on your Zoom performance, then Read AI will judge you.
Right, but I think it is like sales training, and we want to. How much are you talking? Right, I think it was 28.8%. The salesperson should be talking, asking questions, let the client express themselves. We use this for the latest show that Brad and I do. Right, so we take out of one of our, we just take the transcripts out of one of our note takers, and then a couple things we do with this that I think is pretty cool. We just paste it all into Claude, and then I say, ask it to give me a YouTube description with timestamps, and then I can just pop that right into YouTube. And then here, it'll just create, the whole information about the episode, major insights, timestamps, so you can kind of click around. So that's cool. Pasting it into another great feature is just then being able just to take the closed captioning, pop it into Gamma, and then have it spit out like a social carousel for your LinkedIn. Or for your, or just a presentation or whatever you want to give. So that's what I've been loving about these, note takers / closed captionings, right? I think there's many ways you can get there. And if I didn't have so many calls on Team for me too, I'd say, yes, give me the Zoom one all day long. But I just feel like because people are using different tools.
Yeah, that's and that's why I find it so interesting when you show up to a meeting and there's a bunch of note takers, like no matter what you're covered, and especially the email you get at the end. What I've been doing lately is I have a rule in my inbox that anytime I get a summary from any one of those note takers, it sends it off to this N8N script, and we'll talk about that at some point. But that summarizes all of them for me and just gives me one final summary, and then sticks it in my Google Drive so that I can go back and look at the meeting and see what all of those were. Because not all of them catch everything, but a combination of all of them do a really good job.
So Brooks, that's interesting. How do you have N8N integrated with Zoom? Are you literally pulling all transcripts, all recordings, and then storing it in Google Drive, and then like plug it into ChatGPT automatically? Like, what exactly are you doing? That's interesting.
Yeah. So the rule is that anytime an email comes through, it sends it across into N8N, and then N8N has an agent running with ChatGPT or an OpenAI model that does the summary for me, and then it saves it into Google Drive. Usually, what I do is I stick it in a spreadsheet just because it's like tabular. It's easier to kind of navigate, but you could also do it into like a Google Doc also.
Okay. Cool. Interesting.
So what I find of value for AI note takers, for anybody that doesn't use them and wants to catch up on what these things are and what they're doing, is there's the ability to capture the meeting to like let other people catch up or to catch yourself up. But there's also the ability to find things that you didn't find. Because sometimes we look at this through the lens of like employment, like, oh, my boss is going to spy on me or my boss is going to judge my work. The other way to look at it is, what if your coworker was better at sales than you are, and then you got the notes from their sales calls, and you went like, hey, now I can make my commission like they're making commission. If you each have your own territory, and the person who has the East Coast is doing great, and you're in the West Coast, and you're like, why is the East Coast crushing it? You could take their sales calls and then run them through against yours and say, what am I not doing that they're doing? So there's non-competitive ways to improve what you're doing. I think there's also, to catch people up on the reason why we're using these tools, there's also the ability to work as a team. Some people really get caught up in the whole like, oh, you're recording me versus I'm recording us. Like there's an us mentality. At least in the meetings I have, it's an us and a we thing. Like we have recordings, and then David, I know you just click on Brad's recorder and then you got it too. So it's not hidden. And the value in it, like you're saying, is you can turn the conversations you have into social media. And I think there's a barrier we should catch up and leap over, which is, oh, that's cheating. I got to tell you, I know communications professionals that showed on Monday in a demonstration how they use AI software to leapfrog ahead of other people by saying like, okay, I took this, I moved it over to Grok, for example, the one they use, and they said, now make an article in this Wired magazine style or, Cosmopolitan magazine style, or whatever style you want. There's the ability to have a conversation like this with your friends, with your colleagues, with your partners on your project. Get the transcript, grab the part you like, and then say, now turn this into a tweet, into a Facebook post, into a LinkedIn post, into a briefing, into a guide for my team. There are so many uses for this that you don't have to say, oh, agentic AI isn't perfect yet. I know a ton of people who are using the transcript to turn it into almost magic. And I think, Brooks, you got a course. I mean, you've got a course every week. It's like, I know you're using AI to make the courses about AI software, but you've got a course for note takers.
I do. That'll be published this afternoon, actually. And we do have a question in here about did I sign up for N8N to do that? In the note-taking course, I go through that, and then there's also a course that we'll be publishing next week on N8N specifically. So there's a bunch of ways to do N8N, but if you come back next week or the week after, we'll go through that, and I'll give you a good solid demo of what that looks like.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, N8N, the letter N, the number 8, the letter N, is an AI agent, right?
Yeah.
To connect things.
Yeah.
I mean,
it does all kinds of things you can connect to it, but yeah, really the core of it is building your own agents.
Yeah, which always seems like a complex thing, but it's just connecting things. It's like sending a fax to somebody and then being like, and now when you get this instructions, I want you to sign it and fax it to the next person. It's like that. We used to do that manually 20 years ago. We would say, when you follow these instructions, step 2 is to do this. You've automated a set of steps. Like when I get an email and it has a transcript, take it over here, get the second one and the third one, summarize them and bring it back. It's just a set of instructions.
Yeah, exactly. Or like instead of it being a fax, it goes to a phone call, or it can translate and do a bunch of different things. But yes, and then really supercharging it with these note takers is great. And I really like your tip on taking some of that content and creating creating some actual social media posts around it. Yeah.
One of the biggest values I've gotten out of note takers when I have meetings with clients is to screen share the transcript and show them what they just said. And then people say, oh, I said that? You said, yeah, you said that. And I'll take the best quote and put it into a shared canvas of like a Google Doc or a chat conversation or an email together or a Miro board, some kind of shared space. It helps people with a flow of information. A lot of people are not 60-word-a-minute typers. A lot of people are not excellent at the keyboard the way they are at talking. And there's a stronger communication just in talking of someone. It's like having like an excellent teammate, and your teammate just says, I got you. You just go for it. There is a real magic for anyone that has meeting conversations where like we're going to discover something new versus just like scheduling 8 o'clock Tuesday, fly here. I can't stress enough how much magic can happen with note takers. And I'm glad anyone that's watching wants to catch up on them. I think it's worthwhile saying that they work with Zoom, they work with Google, and they work with Microsoft. So for anybody who says I don't use Zoom, it's my experience that all of these tools we're talking about, all these softwares, that they live inside the major video chat platforms. I think another cool thing is learning which one you like and going to get a free trial from any of them. I think all of them you can get a free trial, and whether you use the business version or the regular version or the free version, I think each one has unique features. What I love to do is have project meetings where people know we're going to do this. I download the transcript and put it into my ChatGPT project. So all of the meetings are then in the project. So you can ask, hey, what's the latest on this? What's the latest on that? How do I catch up on this? Has anybody else done that? Have anybody put their transcript PDFs into a chat project?
I have. And if anybody is sleeping on projects, they're amazing. One of our first episodes is on projects.
Yeah.
Right. I've been doing when depending on the size. Sorry, Michael. I've got Notebook LM. I've been just using for that, but I think it's just having everything in one place and kind of having it as a little mini LLM, really, that's just on content from that workflow. And I would love Brooks, and I've got all these. I'm like, I got all these questions, and I'm like, no, that should be agents for next week. But just as far as, somebody calls me and I'll like press the button to record it on my iPhone. So now I've got all these separate conversations, right? I mean, it's easy to pull the readers together, maybe. But then the Zoom, what's recorded on Zoom? What did I do on my cell phone? Maybe that's a agent one for next week. Michael, go for it.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I take the transcripts all the time and throw it into ChatGPT. And then I'll ask for summaries, and then I'll ask it questions. I'll ask it to draft follow-up emails. I'll ask it for anything that's related to, action items. I get the Zoom summaries for the Zoom meeting because I have redundancy. So I have the Zoom recording and then the AI or the transcription that sends by email, and then I get it in Read. But I'll download the transcript from Read and then put it into ChatGPT, and I just like dealing with it in ChatGPT. And if it's contextual to some project I'm working on, then I'll talk with it, and then also in relation to some other thing that's happening, so it has greater context. So beyond just the meeting itself, this can work with any AI tool, any LLM. So if you're using Notebook or Grok or Claude or Gemini, I mean, however you're doing it, you can add your transcripts or your summaries, and then use it within a greater context from just one meeting, or do it across multiple meetings. Like you had 3 meetings, you have 3 different transcripts. What are all the takeaways from each? What are the follow-ups? What are the outstanding action items? What's already been discussed? Stuff like that.
I think the big thing for AI note takers is if you do it right and you sign it up, the AI note taker can automatically show up in all of your meetings. And then you have to get past this whole, like, do they know I'm coming? Nervous. I think we're 2 years into AI note takers. I think that the professional world has just accepted them. I think it's very above board. I think people are using this on the daily. So for anyone that's not using them or just new to them, sign up for it, connect it to all your meetings. You can always remove it from the meeting. The other thing you can do with an AI note taker is record yourself when you're working on something and use it as a sounding board. You can just go to your own Zoom or Google Meets or a Teams call and just go live with just yourself and see yourself on screen. If you're practicing a speech or you're practicing a presentation or a performance, or you're brainstorming how to convey a message, you can watch the words in real time. This way you don't have to make typing errors. If there's a big, long word you don't know how to say, you just say it out loud. You don't have to know how to spell it, and it comes up on screen. And that's really helpful. I've used that recently. And then what you can do is you can see how it flows, read it again, and then say it again, and then work your way through something. There's a magic to it. I know I said that a couple of times, but there's a real magic to seeing the words you're speaking out loud. And when you use things like Otter lets you watch in real time. So as you're speaking, it types just exactly what you're saying. It's very, very helpful. I'm strong on AI note takers, and I know that there's more to it than we're saying here. We don't want to give you a click-by-click software demonstration in 25 minutes, but Brooks, you're putting the course up live that will help people go from 0 to 60 miles per hour.
Yes, and David, to your point, when we get to our agent, episode, iOS shortcuts. So on your iPhone, iOS shortcuts. So when you hit the record button, it will transcribe up the call, but then it'll dump. You can have it dump it into an actual iOS note, and then when you have a shortcut that's running, you can have that note then go somewhere. And there's a bunch of other things that you can do downstream with that, but as we start getting, every day there's new tools coming out to the point where it's obviously that's why we're here, to catch up, because it's hard to keep up, but there's so many cool ways to do it, and it's really neat to see how everyone's doing theirs.
Sorry, one thing I should add, guys, is that
Okay.
sorry, with the AI note takers, they have like Zoom has the little record button that's flashing, and it lets you, and it tells you, it notifies you that the recording's happening. This is also to be in compliant with the two-party consent requirements of the states, where people, both everybody who's on a call who's being recorded consents to the recording. So be careful about using or doing recording without letting the other person know in an area where that may not be the case. But you don't need to worry about with these note takers, because it's set up and integrated in Zoom or Google or wherever to let everybody know that a recording is happening, and you can opt out if you don't want. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's a great point, Michael. And I know when you use the iOS, the iPhone recording function, that it will say every once in a while that that it is recording, and there's like a tone that kind of chimes in. But that's a great point. I mean, because you never want to know when people are, you really want to let everyone know when you're recording. So,
right. And if you're, I've heard mixed reviews, Michael, but with your investigative background, if I'm just like not wanting to take notes and I record something, can I record it just for my personal use? Like in two consent states, even if I'm not going to use it, I know it wouldn't be admissible in court or anything. Or if I get caught with the recording, am I in trouble or something?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that in order for in a private setting, if it's in public, it's different because you have a camera and you don't have an expectation of privacy. But if there's an expectation of privacy, like you're in a room or you're on a call or whatever, you should let people know using whichever tool, if it's automated or not, like using Read AI or whatever. There will be some sort of notification. This is done automatically, so you don't need to worry about it. If you're using a manual recording tool, it's best to give a verbal, like, hey, can I record this? Because, most of the time, nobody will know. But I guess you don't want to be in a position where something was recorded. It was, there was no consent, and then some defamation happened, and then it gets out into the wild or something like that. And then all of a sudden there's some drama. So it's just good to, this is not something to really worry about with these tools, because they build and integrate it in. It's when you do manual recording by yourself, recording a phone call, recording a FaceTime without letting the other person know, that's when you can get into trouble. So you're good with the AI tools, the ones that are public and productized and integrate with Zoom. So no worries on that front. But just be aware, we're in a globally connected internet, and every jurisdiction has their own rules.
Michael, to your point, your professional reputation matters as well. When you're on a Zoom call and it says, this is being recorded, it's very transparent. But I've heard people tell me, oh, I record all my phone calls. And then I now think something new about that person.
They may not know the rules, but you just have to be aware that anytime you're on a call in the modern era, it's probably you have to consider that it might be recorded. Anyway, it is what it is. But we're on the podcast. We don't give people bad advice. We everybody's gonna do what they're gonna do. So yeah.
No, I love it. Thanks for keeping us on the rails. You're totally right about that. We always want to make sure that we get good advice.
Yeah, for sure. So sorry, Brad.
No, I was going to wrap up, but you've got something more. Go for it.
I was going to say, maybe we could rapid fire like someone said Firefly, and then Otter. Was there any reason, anybody have a comparison? I haven't used Otter in a while. I haven't used Firefly, so I don't know. I can't compare it myself. But if someone could compare Read or Zoom to any of those based on their experience, I'd be interested in hearing a comparison.
Well, I mean, the tools that David was just showing on Read, I've never actually paid for a subscription, so I hadn't really seen some of those tools. But I mean, some of those insights are actually really good. Of course, it gets you have to worry about maybe if you're being overly judged. But I think from like a sales perspective or just like as a team perspective, those look great. I suppose I like the Zoom one, but the downside to the Zoom one is that it's only on a Zoom call. But the Read one really looks like that. The only other one I've had the most experience with is Otter, but I kind of feel like they're falling behind compared to these other tools.
The race is on all these features, right? Then, of course, you can just take all the transcripts, dump them into ChatGPT and say, when did I use filler words? Probably, right? For that one feature. So I think it's ease of use, but I think with these, as we'll find out next week, with a lot of these agent models, putting some of those things together to kind of create this will also help us save some dough, as far as we may not need to pay for Read AI anymore, that type of thing. And Brian, you said, how do you do that? I think that was an agent question. You're going to have to join us next week and find out.
That's right.
Okay. Great job. Good.
Yeah, everybody, great to be here. Brooks, Michael, David, glad to learn with you guys what else is going on, because exactly this, I've not looked into a live paid subscription of some of these softwares. They change all the time. It's great to learn with you guys. It's great to catch up.
Definitely.
And great to see Dr. Harvey in the chat. He couldn't be with us today, but good. He's keeping an eye, making sure the quality control stays up while he's not with us.
That's right. All right, guys. We'll talk to you next week. Take care.
Have a great week.
Thanks, everybody.
Step right up, it's time to hear the cleverest show of the year. AI catch up, brighter tone every week in your living room.